I am going to start with Mr. Rouzer first. We're going to give you 2 minutes for an opening statement. Ladies and gentlemen, David Rouzer, candidate for the 7th District House of Representatives. Mr. Rouzer.
Well, thank you very much, John. I appreciate the Alliance of Brunswick County Property Owners Association for hosting this forum, and I hope that this will be very informative for you. I'm running for Congress because this election, I believe, and I believe many that I run across along the campaign trail believe this as well, is the most critical election in our lifetimes. I believe this election is going to determine what kind of country we have. We have a $16 trillion debt that's going to increase to $32 trillion and $64 trillion before we know it. We have got to move this country in a very, very different direction. My entire career, I have focused on bringing solutions to very complex problems. My time working on Capitol Hill, my time serving in the executive branch, my time working in the private sector, and also my time serving in the state Senate the past 4 years. In the state Senate, I focused on getting rid of the onerous rules and regulations that are making it difficult to do business for our small businesses and our family farmers in particular. I have focused on cutting spending. We must cut spending at the federal level if we're going to get this debt under control. We've got to grow the economy and we've got to cut spending if we're going to tackle our national debt. Now there's some other issues that are very important as well for this area. Beach renourishment, inlet dredging. We need to have a designated source of funding long-term to take care of those issues. And I believe we need to have a state-federal partnership that's focused exactly on that so that we don't have to worry year after year whether we're going to have the money to take care of those things. The National Flood Insurance Program is incredibly important to this area. And all these issues I have dealt with for a long time from my experience working on Capitol Hill and also in the North Carolina Senate. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you today, and I look forward to the questions.
Mr. Rouzer, thank you. Now we will go to Mr. Rouzer, we're going to go over to you for the question. Mr. Phillips talked about spending, so I'm going to ask you a question about spending at the congressional level. The federal deficit, more than $16 trillion, growing every day. Would you support balanced legislation to rein in spending and increase revenues in an effort to lower the deficit?
I certainly would support a balanced budget amendment to the U.S. Constitution, and the way we're going to get out of this is we have to do two things. We have to grow the economy. When you grow the economy, guess what? You have more revenue coming into the U.S. Treasury. How do you grow the economy? You get the federal government out of the way. You reform the tax code so that it's fair to everyone and lower the rates. You get rid of the onerous rules and regulations that make it difficult to do business. And you have to focus on cutting spending. And so all of those things we have to do if we're going to tackle this debt head on.
Second part to that question, sir, and again, you have another full minute to talk about this. Brunswick County basically sits in between two of the largest military bases, not just in North Carolina, but the world, in Fort Bragg and Camp Lejeune. So I ask you, what about defense spending when it comes to the budget?
Well, we need to protect our soldiers in uniform every step of the way. They need to be fully funded and have all the resources available to them to perform the job. And then along those lines, we also need to be taking care of our veterans. We do a poor job of taking care of our veterans in this country. It is absolutely horrific, the stories that I hear day after day, just as a state senator, from folks who are in my state Senate district, not to mention all the folks that I run into in this neck of the woods. We've got to protect and take care of our men and women in uniform. You know, it's very instructive, I think, in the very first appropriations bill the U.S. Congress ever passed, 1/3 of the budget was for disabled veterans. We need to have a focus on the priorities, and our men and women in uniform and our veterans need to be a priority. And then we need to allocate money elsewhere as we have it available. But those two, our men and women in uniform and our veterans, definitely need to be a priority.
Thank you, sir. Back to the county commissioner. Thank you. Mr. Rouzer, we're going to go back to you for two questions, sir. The first one being, what is your vision for the future of Social Security?
Well, we must preserve and protect Social Security for the long term. The more immediate crisis is Medicare. Medicare goes bankrupt in 12 years. But specifically regarding Social Security, we need to make sure that our commitment to our seniors stays in place. And I do not recollect exactly when Social Security runs out of money. I know Medicare goes bankrupt before Social Security does. But the fact of the matter is, we need to tackle both of these problems head on and put forward solutions and have a dialogue with the American people about how we want to proceed on both. Without question, all the money that has been put into Social Security by individuals such as my parents, including myself and all those in the working community, they need to have Social Security. That commitment needs to be kept. And so I will do everything possible to make sure that we protect and preserve Social Security for the long term.
I want to play off that, excuse me, sir. I want to play off that a little bit because there are several different kind of plans out there, and in past forums you have discussed favoring some versus the others or parts of some. Can you let the audience know a little bit now what you favor, such as the different budgeting plans that might save Social Security or keep Social Security solvent?
Well, we haven't discussed Social Security in any public forum that I'm aware of. Most of the focus has been on Medicare and how you solve and protect and preserve Medicare for the future. But obviously, Social Security is a system where workers are paying in currently, and that money that's being paid in is going to beneficiaries. We have a lot more seniors, a lot of baby boomers that are retiring, and we have fewer workers. And so, long term, the program needs to be adjusted. Otherwise, taxes are going to increase dramatically, or benefits are going to be reduced dramatically. And that's a discussion, that political leaders need to have with the American people, have a very straightforward dialogue, so that we can preserve and protect the program long term.
Thank you, sir. Now, the second question to you has to do with a recent Congressional Budget Office analysis that estimates the first stimulus package, ARRA, if you will cost $814 billion. Unemployment in North Carolina, though, and many counties right here in the 7th Congressional District still is over double digits. Question, would you vote for a second stimulus package if it came to a vote in the United States House of Representatives?
No, I would not. And there's a fundamental principle that all of my votes will be cast based on, and that is less government spending and lower taxes create jobs, not more government spending. The more you take from the private sector, the more you take in terms of dollars, in terms of taxes, from individuals, from a family budget, a small business budget, family farmers, that's one less dollar that they have to reinvest in their business. It's one less dollar they have to hire new employees, or much less keep the ones that they're trying to keep. So that's just a fundamental principle. If we want to grow the economy, let's get the federal government out of the way, and let's let our entrepreneurs and individuals who are creating new products and new ideas, let's unleash them and let them do what they do best, and that's create jobs.
Thank you, sir. We'll move back to the County Commission.